What's all that?
What's all this in? That's the tea.
Oh, God, how
In
wide
it.
angle is that?
In it.
You'll get
That's
to
the
see
tea
There we
in
go.
it.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Grumpy Old Men. My name is Tim Newton, and with me today is Mr. Steve Ross with an E.
And
Hello, Steve.
Hello, Tim. Are we using our mellifluous radio voices today?
I thought we might just be sort of polite and nice for a change.
Well, I'm not sure I remember how to do that, but I'll give it a shot. For you, Tim, I'll try to be nice.
Now we are at P-Sao. P apostrophe Sao.
Yeah.
And-
Elder sister.
And this is probably the best of the restaurants in town.
Well, I think it's my favorite, though Bin La, I think, is a very close second, and one dish at Tata I like very much, but it's not seafood. But yeah, I think consistently this place does the best, yeah.
And all my guests that come here all have raved about it. So if you are in Turtle Beach sometime in the future, near or far, then make sure you come to Peace Out. Now, the main reason we're here today is because, I mean, you can only see us, but we are watching a flurry of activity. Did you hold your pinky out?
Yes, we did, yes. Ooh.
Very nice cups.
We're having the vicar to supper. Yes, these cups, they came from...
Hyacinth's candlelight supper.
These cups were taken from the Grand Palace in St. Petersburg in 1918 after the Revolution, and somehow made their way to old Siam.
You almost can't see that against your shirt. Now, they're setting up for the Turtle Festival. By the time
They are, indeed.
we get to next week's show, we'll be 2 days into the Turtle Festival, and you would have successfully paraded down the street with your cigarette lighters.
God willing, yeah.
And
I'm
we'll have
hoping.
photos to share.
Yeah, we've had, we've had our meeting with the Utayan, the national park. They have invited me to walk. They're testing the mics at the stage right now. We've had a meeting. They've invited me to walk with the national park contingent. Mine will be the second float in the parade, right behind the national parks float, which this year, instead of building a big chicken wire and paper mache float like everybody else, they, that big leatherback turtle that washed up, the dead leatherback turtle that washed up on the beach.
No.
Yes, there is taxidermy in Thailand. They have stuffed it, and that's their float. They're gonna put that on a flatbed truck, and that's gonna be the park's float. That will be the first thing in the parade, the carcass of a dead turtle. The second will be a turtle made of trash.
The 67-year-old dead carcass.
And then everything after that will be an improvement.
So,
I hope you can hear us. It's awfully loud here today.
Sorry?
What?
Well, I think the microphone's fairly directional, so
Okay.
it should be
I
okay.
hope so. Yeah.
But there is a lot happening.
I'm a quiet talker. I have a very quiet, monotone voice.
We can only wish. So it is a flurry of activity. Flurry, I think, is a wonderful word. And
I don't know that Thai's flurry, honestly. I think it's a grind. It's a slow schlep over a course of about 2 weeks to get this set up for 10 days.
Yeah.
And then it'll be another 2 weeks
Just clean it up.
to break it down and strike
Just in
it.
time for next year.
Yeah.
And they, as you know, and we've shown you on various programs, but they sort of close off the street. Well, almost. They put a huge 200-metre long marquee, or maybe 150 metres, anyway, it's long enough, and underneath
I've
will
been
be
saying almost half a mile on my channel.
a slight exaggeration.
I may exaggerate, yeah.
It's approximately 27.5 litres.
Oh, I
Yes.
see. Okay, that's
Yeah.
that metric. We don't do that in America.
Well, you sort of do. You just don't know. When you talk about these things, what do you refer to them as?
A bottle?
Yeah, how many?
Oh, 12 ounces?
Oh, come on, you say 250 mil, don't you?
No, we say 12 ounces. But
you don't.
all of our cars, all the parts for all of our cars are in millimeters, except
liters.
maybe a classic Ford Mustang or something. And so all the tools in any mechanic shop will be wrenches and things in millimeters.
And the engines are, these days, a 1600 cc, cubic centimeters and stuff.
Yeah, so that stuff, cars, and I would go out on a limb and guess the components for the International Space Station were all made in metric measurements.
Well,
so important stuff, yes, but if you buy a pair of Levi's, your inseam and your waist measurements are still going to be in inches.
Well, I'm still in inches when it comes to buying things. I'm only 30 inches, of course, around my waist. A long time ago. It's interesting talking about space and the problem between, or the difference between metric Celsius. It was the metric measurements and Imperial was a problem when they sent a robot to Mars, and the thing burnt up because the engineer mistook the measurements, Imperial, and they actually lost an entire spacecraft because of that. Because Americans are just so slow that they can't pick up on the rest of the world.
I was going to go with God is in the details, but sure, you want to knock America? I'll let you have that one. Yeah.
I don't know if the US, they seem quite happy just doing the Imperial thing, and I think they just like the word Imperial.
Jimmy Carter tried like hell. Yeah. And if he had let America go to the Olympics that year, we might have gotten more into it, because all the events at the Olympics, it's a 50-meter dash, 100-meter dash, all that stuff. But he said, these Russians have invaded Afghanistan. What a terrible country to invade Afghanistan. And so we're not going to go to the Olympics this year. And I hope he lived long enough to feel a little bit of regret when, I veered into politics, haven't I? But at any rate, another country of note ended up also invading Afghanistan. But at any rate, if he had in '76, when he was trying to shift us to the metric, if he'd allowed us to go to the Olympics that year, he might have had a better shot at it. But it failed dismally, and now it's still Imperial.
I spent most of my education learning to convert from Imperial to metric, because Australia was sort of going through that process. So I never quite learnt what an inch was or a centimetre, but I learnt that there were 2.54 centimetres in an inch. So I knew all the conversions, but I never really properly learnt one or the other. But I mean, metric's just so much easier. It's 10, 100,
it is,
1,000.
Base 10. Do you know Hedwig and the Angry Inch? Do you know that movie? Hedwig and the Angry Inch?
No, in our country it's called the Angry Millimetre.
Is it?
Yes. Were you just feeding me that, or?
No. I was just.
No, I haven't seen it.
The inch. Yeah.
But I would like to make a proposal to you, or propose a.
I'm open to proposals. Sure. Pitch me. Here on Shark Tank.
I would like to suggest to you, as we sort of lead up to the 2024 Turtle Festival in Time
Yay! Finally.
Or, as it says on the sign, Bunga 67.
Yeah.
That the Turtle Festival is not good for Turtle Beach. May I tell you why?
Yeah, go ahead.
No. See ya. So, you have... Now, I'm quite happy to do the show by myself, the rest of the show. I'll enjoy the rest of your
The rest of the week isn't enough. You have to have Sunday, too.
Yes.
Wow, what a glutton.
Because the carnival, and I mean, it is pretty much a sort of a touring carnival. And they've got a contract with the local Orbitor or the local council. And they come down and they set up all these stores, which are all from out of town. And they've got the carnival rides and the carnies from out of town. And all the infrastructure has been brought in from out of town. And yes, they pay a fee to the local Orbitor for the rights to be able to spend 10 days, or really 20 days, disrupting our otherwise quiet community. And so I'm just wondering, what is the benefit to Tai Mung?
Well, you might ask each of the mothers of those children over there who spent a whole year sewing little Hawaiian luau costumes for their little girls to get up on stage and dance once a year.
But they could do that without all this.
You've been talking to the restaurants here who obviously hate it because the fair sets up 50 food and beverage outlets right in Peace House front door. So yeah, all the people who have restaurants here on this strip hate it. But for the rest of the town, it's a great joy. It's lots and lots. The circus has come to town, right? They have rides. Their kids get up on stage and dance. The girls and the boys can walk around together, arm in arm. Yeah, well, it is in this culture. Still a little bit shocking. And you see the little Muslim girls in like groups of 6. You never see a Muslim girl alone in a public place like that. They all have to chaperone each other. But I think, Chamnan is giddy. Chamnan comes down every day to watch them erect this tent. It also provides work for, you may have noticed, the day laborers who have been erecting the giant marquee and moving the sandbags for everything else. They're all kind of scruffy, downtrodden fellas, and they're all local, and they get to get...
Are they?
Yeah, the day laborers, the guys who come on the trucks and tell the peons what to do. They're the circus, the traveling circus.
So my idea is to put the turtle back into the turtle festival.
I'll go along with that. Yes, there can never be too much turtle in the turtle festival.
Now we've got the music.
Yeah.
Could we...
But it's turtles. It's a turtle band. They're playing the music.
Could we have a turtle festival without these sort of outer town interlopers?
Well, I would come. I would come to that.
So would I.
I don't know. I think you need to get the Thais to participate shopping and food and very loud music and photo ops, selfie opportunities. Now, we could do the selfie opportunities.
And do they do anything up at the turtle hatchery, just 1 kilometre up the road?
Oh, they get ready to release the turtles. I don't.
Do they actually do anything up there? So
at the turtle, no, that's closed. That's supposed to be closed to the public right now. They have not opened since COVID. Officially,
wow.
You can go in there and you can put some money in the donation box and look at the adult turtles. You can't get to the back where the baby turtles are, and you can no longer clean the baby turtles on a Monday or a Tuesday, which was the best part of the whole thing. But no, since that giant, not an auditorium, an aquarium that's got the turtle on top. It's a building-sized turtle. And that used to be where the visitors came. The visitors never used to go back in the turtle part of it. You went to the aquarium, they had tanks of various fish and turtles, and you saw a movie and somebody who spoke Chinese would lecture to you. And that's all closed. So no, there's no kind of ribbon cutting or anything up at the turtle hatchery. It's all here at the Turtle Plaza, where there's the 10-foot tall concrete turtle,
which is here right throughout the year, of course.
Is around throughout the year.
So look, I'm just all for. I used to be involved as a committee member and then the chairman of the Australia Day Council for my local shire. And
okay, Frodo, go on.
I was very involved with sort of organising these festivals, and we used to go out of our way to make sure that it was all sort of local tradespeople and local this and local that. And so I just found this a little bit, when I sort of did a little bit of research, maybe just a little bit of a shame, but I do know these fairs, they literally tour every little town around the country, and it's a business.
That's why we have the expression, the circus has come to town. Yeah. Well, I would encourage you to do more research. I think it's pretty splendid. I enjoy the heck out of it. I am very much looking forward to walking in the parade.
So am I.
And as you say, put more turtle into it. All of the floats in the parade are displayed here on the Turtle Plaza for the 10 days of the festival. Or they were last year. My only experience of this festival was last year. But based on that, they had all the floats out here for the whole 10 days. And then my turtle, they're going to take it in the visitor center. They're going to put it in the visitor center on permanent display at the park, at the national park. And they've asked me to build a backdrop out of garbage.
Oh, so that's what all the bottle tops are for.
The bottle tops are for my backdrop, my freestanding turtle backdrop. And honest to God, getting a Thai government office to sign on board with displaying anything made out of trash that's a feather in my cap.
And
Name
built
me
by a
another
foreigner.
Name me another falang
Yeah.
who's ever convinced the government to
Do anything.
to display trash permanently in a government office.
Well, and a feather in the cap for you. Good for you. And
Thank you.
we're going to be cheering loudly.
Pat this back. I demand you pat this back.
We're going to
That
be
felt great. Thank you.
cheering loudly from the side.
Yay! Hello! Well, you're welcome to march with us. I'm sure the T-shirts would fit you. They're supposed to be getting me 10 4X T-shirts.
4X.
Because various, God, I hope you can understand what we're saying. Various viewers of this show and my own channel have said they're booked here for March 1st. They want to walk with me next to my float in the parade, which is fine. I'm glad for that. My intention had been to wear check shirts. All of us to wear those checkered shirts, for which Steve is famous. The Utayan said, nah, we want you to wear our official shirts and walk with us in the parade, which is fine. But I know they're not going to order 4X. I've said, please order me 10 4X for my crowd. And they went, yeah, sure.
How long does it take to do a sound check?
All day.
10 seconds?
Probably
I would
all
have thought.
day. Yeah.
But she's just making really sure that microphone's going to work.
Test, 1, 2, 3.
She likes the sound of her own voice.
No,
Speaking of which,
she's telling the kids what they're going to do. She's the leader of this little group of hula dancers, and she's telling them where to come on and where
we're
to
getting a
line
sneak
up and stuff
preview.
like- Yeah. No photos though. This is preview, out of town preview on the road. No photos.
now we are going to be talking about golf in a moment because Steve and I are both experts when it comes to golf. But maybe go through some of your topics. From your book given to you by Norel. Thank you, Norel.
I did work for a summer on a golf course as a greenskeeper. I have some stories from that, but I've never played a round of golf in my life. Wouldn't know how. All right, I got a question for you,
Oh dear.
Mr. I Don't Like the Turtle Festival. You have done stories this week on the, or a story this week on the, is that a bubble machine? What's going on in front of the big poster? Oh, it's just reflected light.
Yes.
You've done stories on the move to deregulate the hours of alcohol sales in Thailand. There is this weird window from 2 to 5 in the afternoon that
Every day.
you cannot sell every day. You cannot sell alcohol by law between 2 and 5 in the afternoon. And you have said that you think that might be relaxed without adverse effect on society. Is that a
No, I don't really have an attitude about it. I've just mentioned that
go on?
that's what's been reported.
All right.
And I've reported that there are the pros and the against. And this spokesman said this, and this spokesman.
All right.
But I haven't voiced my own personal
then
opinion.
let me ask you for your personal opinion. You've also reported on the recent deregulation, or weirdly, we're going to look the other way, isation of broccoli. Is there, in your mind, a difference between these two drugs? Is there one should be regulated more than the other, or do you think they're on a par?
Well, no, they're not on a par. That they're both two different. Well, one's more of a natural herb, and the other one, well, I suppose.
Yeah, beer is just as
hops
natural.
And,
yeah.
But whichever way
You're
you look
eating
at it,
bacteria shit. I mean,
that they have different effects on different people. So I don't use either.
right.
But I have plenty of friends that smoke broccoli.
At least one.
I have plenty of friends that drink alcohol. And I have different dinner parties, particularly Eurovision every year, which you're coming to this year.
Sure, yeah.
And people will be drinking and having a good time and, voting for Australia.
Is it B.O.B. or do you provide libation for your guests?
I usually provide libation for the guests.
That's very cool.
And
You're going to provide joints?
No.
See, there's a difference.
Okay,
There's a
well,
difference.
okay. So I've had friends who have had trouble with alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
Most people I know, including my parents, had a very good relationship with alcohol. They used to come home from work and have a little sherry. they had friends around on Friday nights, and a couple of nice bottles of wine had come out, and the males would be professing their incredible depth of knowledge about this wine or that wine, blah blah blah. The cannabis wasn't around in those days, like in our sort of family circle, and even when I was sort of living in town, I didn't really have any friends that used it. However, at school, there were two students that died from, well, basically alcohol poisoning. Mm-hmm. They became alcoholics. Well, they were both Chinese students too.
Ooh.
And they died of alcohol poisoning.
Would you like to try this tea, by the way?
Thank you.
It is provided free by our hostess.
Thank you, Mother.
Let me ask.
Hang on, I haven't finished.
We have to take the basket out. Go ahead. I'm listening.
So, I could see the negative effects of alcohol on those people. Then, when I was in my 20s, I had at least two friends around my age who were smoking dope, we used to say. And they both had very bad experiences, such that they became very paranoid, their personalities changed, and both of them, very sadly, in those two cases, actually died from suicide. So now, I understand that the vast majority of people who use cannabis don't have those
kill
sort
themselves.
Of,
yeah.
don't have.
I have not yet.
No, and let's hope that continues. But again, just like they weren't so much friends, but the people who had died from the alcohol poisoning, who was in my circle, I was at the boarding house at the time.
Playing cards.
Other people were, yes. These were young friends who I watched the deterioration over a number of years. And whilst it didn't affect a lot of my other friends who were smoking it, it affected them greatly and had a profound effect on them, their families, and eventually their lives. Now, I never directly sort of in my mind said, well, it was absolutely the fault of the broccoli that was causing that. However, my feeling is that it unlocked some part of their psyche or their brain that maybe then sort of took over some of their thoughts. But a lot of the things people talk about, that they had the classic symptoms of things like heightened awareness and then paranoia and then they died.
So do you think these two drugs should be regulated differently by here in Thailand?
Yeah, I think that they are different strokes for different folks. They have different histories, different cultural backgrounds, and that it's really up to the Thai government to provide some sort of protection for its citizens, especially kids. And there should be some sort of way of regulating and, if need be, taxing both. And hopefully the taxation then put into things like education, quality control, things like that.
Army golf courses.
Yeah. So, my feeling is there needs to be some sort of regulation. It doesn't bother me if cannabis is decriminalised and people are using it, as long as there is some education about the proper way to use these products.
Roll a joint.
But also an understanding of some of the consequences for some people. That it's not, you can't take any of these drugs in a neutral way. They are going to affect you in some way. People wouldn't use them if it didn't affect them in some way that in the vast majority of cases brings them some sort of pleasure. And I don't deny people the opportunity to have pleasure, but as I've said to you, I prefer that you weren't smoking either cigarettes or broccoli in front of me, or if you were, that we had a fan so that I didn't have to enjoy it with you. With alcohol, it's sort of less. I'm
being told to sit up. Have you ever noticed how straight Thais sit on their motorcycles? Take a look.
Well, I'm the same. I always sort of sit up like that.
Yeah. I don't. I slouch, and I think many Falang slouch. I think.
When it comes to alcohol, I suppose it is. We've got an audience. An audience of one.
White crew.
when someone's drinking alcohol, it's not directly affecting me until about half an hour later when their behaviour might change.
Well, they run
But
you over. Yeah,
it doesn't necessarily smell, or it doesn't sort of bother me. But in both cases, I've got a lot of friends that use both. It doesn't bother me what they do with their bodies. If they get into trouble with either of those substances, I would do my best to try and find them the sort of help that they may need.
All right,
to.
but as far as the law goes, you think they're on a par, or at least they can be addressed as the same subject.
Yes, but I think the regulations need to be a little bit different, in my opinion.
Okay.
Because they're different things.
Well, but cigarettes and alcohol are different things, but you could buy cigarettes anywhere you can buy alcohol, and vice versa.
Yeah.
Except cigarettes you can buy all day long. So, yeah, you're right. They are treated differently in that respect under the law.
Today is Macabucha Day.
Right.
And so you can't buy an alcoholic drink.
But you can buy cigarettes.
And a joint.
And a joint.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I would do. I one in each hand.
There you go.
But I won't mix them. You Europeans who mix tobacco and broccoli, you're crazy. I'll have nothing to do with you.
So, what do you feel about it?
I have always, since the age of 15, bristled at the fact that my drug of choice is treated radically differently historically in the United States. And I spent a week in jail for marijuana for broccoli when I was 17 years old in Aurora, Nebraska, county seat of Hamilton County, Nebraska. Got busted on the highway, and 3 of us went to jail for a week for one joint. 3 17-year-olds.
Naughty boys.
And so, and none of my friends in high school ever went to jail for any alcohol-related activities. So I've always thought that it was vastly unfair. I don't drink like you. I'm not teetotal. I have had alcohol in my life, but I don't enjoy it. It's not my drug of choice. A day cup. And
customers.
So residents at one of the
Bonneville.
At Bonneville. At any rate, yeah, I have always felt that it was unfair that cigarettes, tobacco, and broccoli are not treated on a par by the law. They're all destructive. They all will, taken in vast amounts, kill you. They all have detrimental effects on society and on the individual, and they should be regulated, but on a par. I don't think that my drug of choice is any worse for society than Joe Blow's beer or cocktail or pack of Marlboros.
Yeah, I mean, maybe put the regulation just has to be different simply because they have different methods of farming them, manufacturing them, distributing them, and the actual usage. So I think there needs to be different regulations, but perhaps they should all be under some sort of umbrella. You've already eaten.
I didn't know they had crab. Shall we have we beaten this high dead horse to death? Shall we pick another subject, or you have something to say?
The other thing I was going to say, when people say broccoli isn't dangerous, well, any time you are smoking something and sucking it into your lungs, it's going to be bad for you, no matter what it is.
Yeah, I don't know anybody who's saying it's without any kind of harm.
Yeah.
But obviously, you're right.
Do.
Just the tar. Just living in Bangkok at the current moment, breathing the air in Bangkok is going to be detrimental to your upper respiratory health.
But I know you're going to be talking about this in the comments section. All I ask you is just understand we've got slightly different points of view on it. You might have slightly different points of view on it. That's fine, but just be nice about it and don't get too nasty.
Yeah,
right?
and remember primarily that if your point of view is different from mine, you're wrong. Yeah.
All right, next one.
I didn't write down his name. I had thought to do a feature called Thai Word of the Week, and somebody recommended Saktina, which I'm familiar with.
Saktina.
And there is Sakti Dayat and Saktina. And Sakti Dayat used to be the way they taxed people. They would tax you here with labor rather than with money. So 3 months out of the year, when you couldn't farm rice, all the men had to go volunteer for royal projects. Dams, roadways, official buildings, war, whatever.
Comrade.
For 3 months so, of course, Asia's socialist. That is the nature of growing rice. You cannot grow rice and not be socialist. And so 3 months out of the year, every man in the kingdom would go away from home for 3 months. So what the result of that is, A, most men had 2 families or 3, and B, women have historically had exactly the same legal rights here as men. Famously, they got to vote in 1932, the same time the men did, but women have always had to be able to run the rice mill, run the farm, run the warehouse, whatever your family business was, the women were going to run it for 3 months out of the year. Now, if you want to be snarky to Thai men, you may point out that anywhere in this village you go, the women are running the show. You want to go buy lumber, you want to go buy paint, you want to go buy stationery, you want to go buy food, whatever you want to buy, it's a woman running the cash register.
I went to buy 3 meters of rocks yesterday. 3 women came out asking me, what I wanted, and I thought, okay.
Yeah, the men...
Hardware store run by women.
Yeah, the men will load the rocks on your truck. The women are the ones who do the bookkeeping and do the accounting and buy the rocks and sell the rocks. Now, I have heard it said that is a remnant of Sakti Det. Or just the natural biology of women forces them to be more responsible. I don't know. But that is Sakti Det. Sakti Na is the system of rank and privilege. The children and offspring of the king are Mom Chao, Mom Ratawang, Mom Luang, and after that, Na Ayutthaya. And so each rank carries specific rights and privileges and duty. And that goes all the way down through society, and Kunyings, and I don't remember the rest. And I swore to myself I was going to go look up Sakti Na in Philip Cornwell Smith's very Thai, because don't touch the table. In this case, the aluminum and plastic table. And I didn't look it up. So I apologize to both the viewer who suggested that word, the audience who's just listening to me give 3 minutes of introduction, and to Philip Cornwell Smith, because it would have been another opportunity to pimp his book, which I think is a marvelous, marvelous book. But if you want to chip into the comments, what are we looking at? Oh,
inflatable something.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the inflatable turtle this year. I want to see a 30-metre, 10-metre high inflatable turtle.
There is such a thing?
Well, it wouldn't be that hard to make. They make great big kites and balloons out of all sorts of different shapes and sizes.
I am looking forward to getting the cigarette lighter turtle out of my living room.
Yes.
I've lived with that thing for a year, but I have 2 Nitnoy stores in town who want me to do smaller cigarette lighter turtles to go in front of their stores. So that will be my next project. I have to go down to either Phuket or Khao Lak to get the pool floaties. My turtle starts with a pool floaty. That way it's hollow, and a turtle-shaped pool floaty, like your big duck.
Oh, okay.
But an inflatable rubber balloon turtle. And then you put that on a paper mache base, you clad it in paper mache, and you stick your lighters onto that. And I'm going to buy a bandsaw so I can cut the lighters in half, because the smaller turtles will require more curves. But at any rate, I'm looking forward to working on a much smaller, quicker project that won't take me a year, and I don't have to wait for the festival. My turtle was done months ago, but I couldn't put it outside, and I just had to live with it until the parade. These smaller projects, as soon as they're done, I'll get them out. And then somewhere about 6 months down the road, I'll start working on next year's big parade turtle. Yes, go on.
Finish off Sakti Det. Finish that
Sakti
off.
Sakti
Na.
If you want to comment, I'm sure someone out there, Noah or somebody, Noah Shepard or somebody, John Williams, knows way more about Sakti Na than I, and or someone has a copy of Very Thai by Philip, and you just want to read the. You go ahead and chime in. I simply came unprepared. I had a question, but not an answer.
After Steve's recent Turtle Beach walkabout, this has come from Scooter On. It really sank in.
Is that different than Scooter McGee? Don't we have a Scooter McGee? We
This
got
is
2 scooters.
Scooter O something. Or Scooter
scooting
On.
everywhere.
After Steve's recent Turtle Beach walkabout, it really sank in how truly isolated the area is. And I know Steve emphasises that you had really better have something to do with your time, otherwise you'll go nuts.
Get your own turtle.
But I'm curious.
It may
to
still
know,
happen, even with a hobby. Yeah.
But I'm curious to know if at least once in a while you both don't long for even a small crowd of humans.
No.
Can I finish?
I'm sorry.
I myself favour quite a bit of isolation, but occasionally it's nice to get lost in a well-behaved crowd. That's why I opted for Jom Tiem in Pattaya.
Sure.
This is a long way from Jom Tiem.
Yeah.
Though not in the centre of the action, I can get to the beach road pretty quickly, but I'm far enough back that I don't want to see more than a handful of neighbours. I can have that if I want to. So, do we sometimes, I suppose the crux of it, do we feel sometimes isolated? Do we have lonely
Not
times
enough.
of the night?
No.
Same with me, no.
I'm sorry. I'm an only child of a single parent. I grew up alone. I feel comfortable alone. I don't feel comfortable in company. Someone asked me this because I said on my show this week, you'll never see me share the frame on my channel with anybody, and I won't. I don't do interviews. I don't do man in the street. I don't invite guests on my channel.
Either do I.
It's all Steve all the time because that's how it is up here. And they said, yeah, well, you share the frame with Tim. And I went, holy cow, I do, for 50-something videos so far, which is an aberration. That's very much out of my comfort zone. The fact that I can sit here for an hour and shoot the breeze with this guy is a very, very rare thing. And I'll even sit through, this eustachian tube makes it very uncomfortable to speak sometimes. But I'll sit here and talk to him all day long, and I can't explain that. I don't know why.
48 videos. This will be the 49th.
Yeah.
Next week will be number 50.
Holy cow! On the Turtle Weekend. But at any rate, yeah, I don't play well with others and never have, and no, I never get lonely. The only lonely time in my life was the 10 years I shared a bed with a woman who hated my guts. Other than that, no, I don't ever get lonely. Thank you for asking. And enjoy Jom Tien.
Yeah, I'm loving the quietness. I've got a lot to do. I'm busy. I have a partner, so I'm never feeling lonely. I've also got a lot of various interests, and when I do have time, I've got the podcasts, and I've got hundreds of movies I'm still trying to catch up on. I've got plenty of books that I can bury myself in if I want to. And I'm starting to get to know a few people around town, some of which may become friends in the future. I've got friends from Phuket dropping up every now and then, some of which you'll meet on the Eurovision. It's not just a night, it's a weekend. It's a commitment.
All right, yeah, I'm there. I gotta root for somebody, don't I?
I beg your pardon?
I have to root for somebody. Barrack for somebody? Lithuania. My grandfather came from Lithuania. I support
that's
Lithuania.
A good question. Hey Siri, is Lithuania in Eurovision 2024? Yes, it's called Sylvester Belt, and they're doing a song called Look Delk.
I am all about Sylvester Belk.
Belt.
Sylvester Belt, man. I've got his face tattooed on their faces tattooed on my back. But yeah, my grandfather came from Lithuania.
Okay, so
if that had crapped out, I could have chosen Russia, Poland, or Lithuania, Germany. But I'm going to go with Lithuania.
And strangely, and for reasons I still can't explain, for the last 10 years, Australia has been part of Eurovision. You know that that little country called Australia near Europe?
That little island, it's drifting towards Australia,
yeah. So, it is if you haven't seen Eurovision before, I really get my jollies. I mean, some people it's the Super Bowl, other people love their cricket. I do love my various sports. I used to love watching Wimbledon, but Eurovision beats them all.
Yeah.
By a long way.
It's like the Super Bowl if they sang instead of played football.
Yeah, well, a lot more interesting than watching Super Bowl. How much time do they actually play football during the Super Bowl?
Yeah, it depends on the weather and the penalties, but yeah, it's a smallish fraction.
Like watching paint dry.
I agree.
All right, so another topic from you.
All right. Old media. My mom used to send me cassette
How is your
tapes.
mother?
Oh, she's very well, as far as I know. I have not asked her if she can confirm her dates for her visit. But if you don't know, my 90-year-old mother is contemplating visiting Thailand, visiting Turtle Beach for a couple months. And we'll see. I mean, obviously, the hurdle is the 24-hour plane ride. And I've encouraged her to fly first class because she won't, how many more times she's going to fly in her life? And she's considering it. She's thinking about it. I haven't seen her in 18 months. I don't know what her health is like. But the fact that she is considering it, I think and she would stay in one of Tim's units for as many days as they would be available.
So what would the route be? She's in Iowa?
Yeah.
Yeah, so she would fly from Iowa to LA or Vancouver or...
Well, no, you could go either out of New York, Minneapolis, or LA. I've always flown through Minneapolis by way of Tokyo, Narita. One time...
With JAL?
Look at all these farang, my God. The place is full of white, and they're bringing their own food and drinks. Unreal. We have no class. Honest to God, white people have no class. At any rate, what was I saying? Oh, yeah, or you can go the other way through the Middle East. I think it's New York to London, and then maybe Dubai, and then Bangkok. I've always gone Minneapolis, Narita, and Bangkok.
Right.
But it's a long damn flight, and I go economy. And I flew first class once in my life. And
I've never flown
I
first
took
class.
an Ambien, and I slept through the whole flight. Didn't wake up once. Airport to airport, I was sound asleep, and that was my first class experience.
Oh, no. I'd be wide awake just trying to eke out every single moment, yes.
Yeah, I guess.
Eat everything.
I never do anything right, so... My comment was, or I don't know if it's a comment or a question, what I wrote down was old media, cassettes, and clippings. My mother used to send me VHS cassettes of David Letterman, his talk in the 80s and 90s when I was in Phuket. She would send me David Letterman on cassette. She would cut out the New York Times Sunday crossword and send it to me, and various newspaper clippings. I used to get big, fat envelopes from her with all kinds of newspaper clippings. If somebody from high school got a new job and it was in the local paper, whatever, she would send me a newspaper clipping. And and we used to buy music cassettes for like 10 baht or something, pirated music cassettes. And now, of course, that's all in our phones. That's all gone away. Is there any of that you miss? Do you have a turntable because you miss the sound of vinyl, or you miss messing around and cleaning the disc before you put it on?
No, that's just purely nostalgia.
Okay.
It's just the good vibes. The sound is... I mean, people say it's better, but really, technically it's not. We just think it's better. It's got all the scratches and stuff, but it's sort of organic and it's real, and it's a bit of plastic and
does anybody
metal scraping through it.
Does anybody read a printed newspaper for nostalgia? Anybody out there still holding print, getting that black ink on your fingers?
I don't read newspapers anymore. I used to religiously read 3 newspapers every morning, but
me too.
I'm very happy not to do that anymore.
How far would you have to drive to find a printed newspaper in English from here?
Oh, here,
Kaula?
sure.
Yeah, Phuket? There's no...
So this we shoot this on an iPad, and this iPad is put to good use every morning as I scroll through 20 or 30 sources to find the news.
Yeah. So I'm wondering I still like to do the New York Times crossword on paper. I buy the books of collected puzzles.
But you could do it online. It's just,
right, yeah, but I don't like to.
The good feeling.
Yeah, I like having a clipboard and a pen, and I chew on the pen. All my pens are all chewed up on the ends. And I feel... Oh, excuse me.
The eustachian tubes.
Yeah, 2 days, nothing. There's an emotional component. When I talk to somebody visits my home and they walk in the door and pop, all of a sudden Steve's got this ringing.
I bring out the best in you.
Yeah, sure.
Don't touch the table.
At any rate, let me know. Is there any old media cassettes that you still listen to because you enjoy putting them on the pencil and rewinding them this way?
Got them.
Do you have the cassettes?
I've dragged them around from country to country, house to house to house. I've still got boxes.
No Buddhist tea.
A few boxes. I've got a lot of...
And you guys call me a hoarder. Yeah.
I've got... they're sort of in boxes labelled. I've got, in my early days of video production, I've still got, I used to call Betacam SP tapes.
Yeah.
Of videos that will never, ever, ever, ever
And
be
that's
watched
here
again.
in Thailand.
Yeah,
You brought that with you.
It's in the house. But, I mean, there's not that many boxes. Books and things, I brought hundreds of books with me, which have slowly been disseminated around the place. As I've gone, I've now got a few extra ones from Steve, and it's great that the books that I have and the books that you have, and a few that you weren't meant to have, are now being enjoyed by other people.
Yeah, well, I have been reading from Expat Days, one of my books. Every few weeks on my channel, I would read an old short story from the 80s out of this book, Expat Days. They're all first-person anecdotal essays about my life on Phuket back in the 80s and 90s. And I went to find the book this week. I wanted to read a particular story, and I couldn't find the book. And I realized I had put it in the box of books that went to Bonneville. So I went over there and looked for it.
Tearing the place apart.
I found Rob's book. I did not find Expat Days. I think a tenant found it and took it to read it. And I don't know how to feel about that. On one hand, I'm flattered. They took my book. Mom, they took my book. But on the other hand, what am I going to read from? I don't have any other copies of any of my books. That was the only copy I had.
I'll lend you Lord of the Rings. It's got that.
It's not mine. Why am I going to read from somebody else's book?
I'll just tell people that you wrote it.
Okay.
Steve wrote Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. Hey, why is New Zealand? Why do they have so many orcs in New Zealand? They're still fighting with swords in New Zealand, and yeah, why is that?
I don't understand the question.
The hobbits. They live in New Zealand with the orcs and the ents and everything. That's all. You didn't know that.
I think
that's all in New Zealand.
It was just a movie, Steve. It was just a movie.
It was a documentary.
The south of New Zealand, by the way, is everything that you saw in Lord of the Rings. The most picturesque place in the world. Mm-hmm. It's just glorious down there, and thoroughly
Except for the
enjoyed.
orcs.
Except for the orcs. And what are the short ones with the big feet? Hobbits.
Hobbits.
Yeah, watch out for them.
What are the short ones with the big feet?
I'm sorry.
Oh, God, I weep for mankind.
I did read Lord of the Rings when I was a teenager, and I've seen all four films. I think I've seen the first 5 minutes of all four films, slept all the way through them. Because in my mind, when I read the books...
How do we get along?
When I read the books, I visualised how it all looked.
Right.
And Peter Jackson did not come and ask me how to visualise and illustrate the movie, and he didn't do it anything like the visions in my own mind. So I was very disappointed.
I'm sorry. On behalf of Peter Jackson and all of the Kiwis in the world, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I made a set of chainmail for my son. He got into this live-action role-playing game, a LARP, called Amtgard. And college kids mostly go out in fields and have these big mock battles with foam rubber armor and swords and battle axes and halberds and everything else. So Andy wanted to get into it when he was about 9. And so I made his armor out of PVC, the same way they made the B-frame or the B-shot or B-roll armor in Lord of the Rings. They cut up plastic plumbing tubes and made rings, which they then locked together and sprayed silver and black, and it became armor. And I made my son a suit of chainmail armor out of blue PVC by looking up the plans from Lord of the Rings.
Be fun if you gave him a real sword to take with him. It would have been fun to watch.
I am sure by now he has, and his nickname was Turtle. His fighting name. You have to. It's like D&D. You have to have a game
Steve,
name.
if you're going to be choosing an aggressive, brave fighting name, I'm not sure if Turtle does
He was 9, going into battle with 100, probably somewhat inebriated college students. So I made him out of a garbage can lid this huge foam shield, round shield, so that when things got too, frantic for a 9-year-old, he could drop to the ground and pull this thing over him, and they could step on it. It wouldn't collapse. He was completely protected. So every melee, at some point, it would get too violent, and he would fall to the ground under his... So the other guys called him Turtle.
Was he somewhat inspired by the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
I don't think Andy had seen those.
Okay.
I don't think Andy had seen those yet. But no, it was just... And so the Japanese kanji for turtle, I painted on all his armor and all his weapons. And, of course, he had he had more weapons than any of the college kids because I had a lot of free time. I was a divorced dad. I wanted my son to like me. And so I made him every kind of fancy weapon and everything.
And you speak to him almost every day.
Well, he'll reach out to me and send me a note almost every day on
There you go.
Facebook or whatever. Yeah. But at any rate, I digress. Ian
Hi,
in
Ian.
Arabia asked for a shout out, which I'm very happy to do. Ian in Arabia
And his friend Lawrence.
smoking his way toward Turtle Beach. So thanks for the hello, Ian, and hello right back at you, or whatever the Arabic is for hello. Inshallah. I don't know what the assalamu alaikum. That's it, right? That's how you say hello. That's like aloha. It's hello and goodbye. Pepe Lamoco. Oh, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Have you guys learned any new skills recently? And I think he might be implying in Thailand. Have we learned to do anything
Well, yes.
since moving to Thailand? What have you learned to do?
The whole YouTube thing. Was actually being on the camera,
Yeah.
presenting to the camera. I never did anything like that back in Australia. So I've had to learn the art of presenting in front of a camera. I've had to put up with actually having to see myself on camera, which is a fright.
I love it. I love
Changing the way I actually speak on camera, learning editing. Oh, I knew a bit of that from the past.
Not.
But I've had to learn that whole skill, and I'm still learning every day, except when we do Grumpy Old Men, which sort of tends to degrade my skill levels. Drags me back.
Well,
have you found any new skills?
Well, I hope, speaking Thai, I don't know how skillful I am, but I work at that every day. I work at building that skill every day.
Well, you're lucky you got Chum Nam.
I am in 1,000 different ways. But yeah, he is the best Thai teacher
Relationship.
I've ever had. Might be, I don't know. But no, I had a girlfriend once I had a good relationship with. But I work at that every day. People tell me I sound just like Chum Nam when I speak. I sound like a hillbilly. He's very much a backwoods southern hillbilly. And people tell me I sound like a hillbilly when I talk. I would also say, yes, doing YouTube, but I have never learned to edit. I don't want to learn to edit. So all of my videos are a recorded introduction, a theme song, opening credits, then one long monologue for about half an hour, and then the closing credits. I have 3 clips in every single one of my videos. And part of that is because I can, and nobody else can. There's nobody else out there who just riffs for 30 minutes off the top of their head. But I also don't know how to do anything else. I don't know how to cut that up into pieces, not competently and not well.
You could. You just decided you're not going to.
No, I've tried. I've tried and tried and tried and tried. I was able to do it on this old video editor that came with Windows, but I did not renew my Windows subscription. So I don't have Word. I don't have any of that stuff. Excel. I don't have.
I told you, you got Google Sheets and Google Docs and
Yes, that doesn't help me edit video, but thank you.
there are free
Captain.
editors.
Yes, there are. I have one. I can't learn it.
Okay.
Is this hard? How is
Do you-
this not? How is this not?
Do you want me to show you?
No.
No. There you go.
No, that would sour our relationship.
Why?
Because you would have to be constantly correcting me. How do you think I would take that? How do you think I did in school, Tim? I don't take correction well.
That's why you like watching young Sheldon.
Oh, honest to God, Sheldon and I, he's way smarter than me, of course.
Maybe.
And I don't have an eidetic memory. I have the opposite. Whatever the opposite of eidetic memory is, I forget everything. He remembers
you've forgotten
everything.
what the
I
opposite
forget
is.
anything. Yeah, I've forgotten.
Let's talk golf, because we do have. We mentioned this bit earlier. We have this amazing golf course in town. Now, this, apart from the location, which is magnificent, it's really just a little Thai town with sort of the usual personality, the usual shops, and it is just what it is, and we love it for it.
Yeah.
But in amongst this is this super 5-star, high-class,
Yeah.
world-class golf course called Aquella, Aquella. Aquella, yes.
Yeah.
And
Go figure.
it's halfway from the main town down to the beach. And you drive in for about 2 kilometres. It's a long stretch of all landscaped, all paved, all nicely looked after, and heavens knows where they get all the water from, but you eventually arrive at a sort of a clubhouse area, and there's another area where they're selling villas, but I don't know what's going on there. But the clubhouse, so they've got a little golf shop. It looks out over the, I suppose, the 18th hole or something. And there's people, the caddies, the ladies all waiting for you and touting for your business. And there were, I don't know, about 20 people playing golf there. The restaurant was very, very good. I think they might have changed the menu since you last went there, because you had a very expensive hamburger.
I had
which
a
you talk about
$900
often.
hamburger.
I don't think that's on the menu anymore. But anyway, really, really high class.
Jesus, you think that's her dad? Look at those faces.
Oh, yes.
She is a carbon copy of her dad. Holy crap.
No
Well, some
Rus-
family member.
No Russian women in bikinis today, I'm sorry.
Not yet.
Not yet.
The day is young.
Yes. So, what's your sort of feelings about Aquella? It doesn't quite sort of fit into timeline.
Yeah, all I know, it only impacts my life because I drive by the gates every day. I do know that the only tsunami damage in the Ampu of Taimung in 2004 was the water dumped a bunch of sand on 2 of the fairways of Aquella. There is one spot where 2 of their fairways butt the ocean. And that is the very lowest point on the coast. And so the sea came up and dumped a bunch of sand on their fairways. Other than that, this place was untouched, and there's never been a tsunami here and never will be a tsunami here.
Not in recorded history.
No, the geological record says there's never been a tsunami here.
There you go.
Or at least that's what the informational plaques at the park, the national park, say. But at any rate, that's all I know about Aquella, that and the 900 baht hamburger.
Do you play golf?
No.
Ever played golf?
No. I was a greenskeeper at the Tomoka Oaks Country Club in Ormond Beach, Florida for a summer, 3 months. My job was working 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., moving sprinkler heads up and down the fairways to water the fairways at night. And because I spent the whole night in a bathing suit, soaking wet, because you had to sneak up on these whirly birds and pull them out of the ground, and they go...
How do they go?
They spurt out of the ground and get you all wet. And the water smelled of rotten eggs. There was a lot of sulfur in the well water there, and so the whole summer I stunk of rotten eggs. And one night, one night I'm out there at 3 a.m. and it's pitch black, right? And I'm in a little golf cart, an electric silent golf cart. So there's tons of like little mule deer and frogs and toads and raccoons and shit all the time out on the golf course. And I'm out there and it's very pleasant. I'm high as a kite and soaking wet in a bathing suit. And this cop car comes screaming down the fairway and he's digging up all the green. He doesn't care. He's cutting up the sod because I've just watered it. It's all
making
soft.
the Blues Brothers or something.
And he screams up next to me and the cop goes, "Have you seen anybody out on the course tonight?" I said, "No, there's never anybody here." He said, "All right, well, some guy just, some homeowners came in one of the big houses next to the golf course. They came home from the opera or whatever, and there was some guy robbing their place, and there was a gunfight in the living room, and the guy ran out the back door and onto the golf course, and we're looking for him. Be careful." And off he screams, and I'm left alone again in a silent, pitch-black golf course,
What the fuck
knowing
was
that there's an angry criminal with a gun who's already fired that gun tonight, and he's somewhere out on the course with
I'm
me.
just wondering why the police didn't sort of look at you and go,
Yeah.
maybe this is the guy
Dude,
that was robbing
let's
the-"
test your fingers for residue. Yeah,
Yeah, sure.
No, and that was my summer at Tomoko. I eventually got fired by the pro. Got fired by the head greenskeeper because he was dyslexic and he found out I had a college degree and he hated college boys. So he fired me because
Okay.
I had a college degree.
Yeah.
But that's my only experience of golf. Thank you for asking.
My uncle used to host...
Hey, Tim, what's your experience with golf?
My uncle hosted the golf
A new
clinic.
skill. Feigning interest in other people.
Yes. He hosted the golf clinic on a TV program
that's
called
right.
World of Sport.
That's right, yeah.
And he did that
remember
for,
that.
I don't know, 20, 25 years. I used to go and watch him do because I was fascinated in production of TV and stuff. And he was sort of semi-famous in the day, and he inspired me to...
There's a blow-up turtle, by the way. Can you see it? It's behind the post from you.
Oh, okay.
It's an anthropomorphic sailor turtle, but it's about 10 feet tall. It's about 10 feet tall.
But I only have played golf once in my life. I figured after the first hole that I realised I could throw the club further than I could hit the ball, and I've never played since.
Yeah.
Now that there's a golf course just nearby, and there's nobody I really know that can sort of go, oh, he's hopeless, I might just go and have a little hit one day.
Well, A, Ross plays a lot, and B, George of George Pizza was the first pro at the Aquella.
Really?
And he's still he's giving Ross lessons. He would be happy to give you lessons.
No, I'm not. I don't want anybody to see me hack my way around the golf course.
Art McGrath down in Phuket says he comes up like 2-3 times a week and plays golf at the Aquella. And like I said, the hotel, the Erewhon Hotel in Koh Loi, was built on the assumption that the Aquella would draw busloads of golfers up here, and that, I think, has never materialized, and that's a beautiful hotel that sits empty most of the time.
But if you do come up and play golf, you want to stay overnight, I know 2, soon to be 3, fabulous beach houses that you might be able to stay at. There's a link in the description. We should also mention that Steve, as he's mentioned a few times already, does have his own channel, and he's got, 1.3 million subscribers now?
1.4.
1.4, so it just goes up by 100,000 every week. It's amazing.
Every night.
If you're not watching it weekly, there's something missing in your life, and you need to address that. So you can subscribe to Steve's channel, subscribe to mine. We've been doing this for 1 hour and 3 minutes, and I'm just about got nothing to say.
Well, you go home and take a nap. I'll keep going. Listen to me. No, I'm ready.
We should.
Hour's enough. An hour of us is enough.
We should thank Pisau and
thank you, Pisau.
The host. They looked after us very, very well.
You want to come say hello? Say hello. Hello. Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Very good. We're going to get all the staff to come and do that, or just one?
Well, if they give us free lunch, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Oh, I got to stop. This is killing me.
All right. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to Steve's channel, and to your mum.
Hi, Mom. If you know a good otolaryngologist, give me his business card.
Helen, Mrs. Ross.
Bye.